Thank you, Jel. Thank you very much to come back after the coffee break. I hope, yeah. Uh, as mentioned, my name is Alemgena Araya. I came from Addis Ababa, and I'll present on women's safety, security, participation, and deployment, which a case study conducted in Mekelle, Tigray. I guess everybody guess where Tigray is. Do you know where Tigray or Mekelle is? Yes. Yeah, wait, let them wait. I will not tell where Tigray is. Okay, I will start from where this case study has been conducted. It is in Tigray, located between Eritrea and Ethiopia. And Mekelle is the capital city of Tigray state. And you may have heard about Tigray is a center of civilization of the Abyssinian civilization in Ethiopia, or Ethiopian civilization, with old history, well centered in Tigray, Aksum, and before. So our discussion will address on the women's safety and participation in public transport in Mekelle City. And Mekelle is a capital city with a population of more than 500,000. It's the second biggest city in Ethiopia. Yeah, and what we're going to discuss is we'll start what the transport system looks like in Mekelle. There are no lot of data that can give us a good picture, but some references. The transport in Mekelle is dominated by non-motorized transports, as many African cities, with more than 2/3 of people in the city use non-motorized, and out of this, 94% is pedestrian. And when you come to the motorized transports, public transport is dominating with about 70%. Well, this passenger transports, and out of this, the public transport is one of the major or key transport systems. So when you discuss about transport in Mekelle, pedestrians and public transports are the dominant, and the population of the city, or many of population in Tigray, more than half is a woman. So the topic combines these major or players. And within these public transports, the small city, this don't have big buses, but mainly a minibus and tuk-tuk are dominant, with more than 75% of the public transports we are considering. The big bus are very small, and unlike many other African cities, we don't have motorcycles a lot. So, but we have a lot of tuk-tuk. So what we carried out as a research on this study is we try to look for addressing 4 key objectives or targets in order to assess how women's personal safety and security in this public transport is. And we try to see to what extent women's voice is heard or participated or in transport planning, starting from the planning and in more decision making. And thanks to HVT, this is kind of the first study in such in the city, and examine how these transports give for employment opportunity for women. And we try to link with the existing policy frameworks. So we conduct a standard research methods. We use lots of literature from international and regional. We try to conduct some data, primary data through questionnaires. We conduct about 700 women transport users, public transport users in the city, and try to analyze, and also some qualitative interviews like key informant interview from the decision makers and so on, and in-depth interview with users with disabilities and different level of society in women society in the city, and we try to conduct some analysis and some research objects. So the qualitative and quantitative method we use is starting from desk review, well, mainly the survey questionnaire, but also the focus group discussion, interviews, and participant observation. We try to observe through the trips of the public transport, how conductors, how drivers, how different transport users behave through observation and recording. We try to engage lots of stakeholders starting from the planning of the study, and develop a sense of ownership so that they can tell all their history, all their experience, and how they face their cases. And they try to actively participate in identifying solutions and consultative workshops, going through their workplaces, even in their open markets, and in meetings and so on. When we see the results that we come out from our study, we found that in terms of safety and security, we found that from those more than 700 interviewed or respondents in our questionnaire, 1 in 2 is faced a gender-based violence or harassment. So it's more than 50%. They say, yes, we face this different type of harassment, like verbal abuse, teasing, mocking, and sometimes even from the conductors and drivers, they increase their tariff when they are with their carry baby, or when they are carrying goods, or even depending on their size and so on, which is really annoying. And they sometimes denying even access to the transport services. So these are some of the type of harassments they respond. And the reaction to what kind of reaction we try to include in our questionnaire, about 50% of them, slightly less than 50% of them, they do nothing. They consider that these type of harassments are common and used to it, or they consider that reporting doesn't make any difference. They don't have trust on the reactions. And out of this, even close to 50 are whether it is related to awareness, education. Even those educated women, they don't respond to that type of harassments. Some of them they try to confront the person, and some they try to avoid by walking faster, choosing a seat without a male nearby, or even to reconsider their dressing themselves if the harassment is relating to their dressing. Some of them, when they dress based on their company code, they exposed to some kind of harassment, and only few complain to police, 3%. And we are also considering to involve them in the solutions. What do you think the most priority? We have a list of solutions, but they try to prioritize which one is the most important. They said that training, awareness, or ethical education is some of the important, and strict rules, not only passing rules, but also enforcement of these existing laws are the next priorities. But some of them, they said also that awareness creation through media and promotion. Okay, so, sorry. The different types of solutions they propose in terms of self-defense mechanisms, they need also training for that, or prepare themselves to defend, how to defend the different suggestions. When it comes to part of empowerment, how we can consider women's empowerment in terms of participation in different planning and decision making, and in job creation or employment opportunity, we were considering that those are also important to related next to the safety of gender issues. Why do women participate in transports? We know that this access to transport is access to resource, opportunity, health, education. So it's their participation is fundamental, and in many of our implementation of transport systems, gender-based challenges need to be understood in most of our societies. They are not well considered, not well understood by our engineers, by our designers, and planners. So participation and representation by the users themselves, the women at all levels, and is all relevant areas is fundamental. And why should women should participate in transport planning, decision making? Of course, the transport need for women is not the same as for men. That's the different requirements. The need can be considered by themselves if they involved or engaged in starting from the planning. So the transport system and the space allocated to those different mode of transports can be considered based on their needs. And a majority of women in developing countries highly dependent on either walking or public transport. So our systems and our infrastructure should also consider this. And how to involve them? The most important that many of them is to include their voice at grassroots level. From the grassroots level, from childhood and family education and awareness and engagement at those different level of decision and level of engagement in the transport system and in the policy and strategies. And with respect to the participation, what we got from the respondents is that how many of them are, they feel that they well participating in the planning and decision making. Out of those interviewed or respondents, only 3% were participating in some kind of due to the process of this planning. And 97% they feel that they are not consulted, they are not involved in any of those planning. So, and they suggest the mechanisms to improve this participation is, again, awareness creation, trainings, opportunities for women as well as for those planners, incentives in order to engage them, in order to participate, and recognition and when they got these opportunities. In terms of employment, even though there are a lot of policies and rules from starting from high government to each sectoral level, that these different sectors has to engage women or prioritize women. But when we consult how many of them that they encourage organizations for women employment, they said yes, there is a rule that most of them they know that 75% of them they support that the empowerment is there in place. The problem is when it comes to implementation in day-to-day activities. So women's employment opportunity in urban public transport in Mekelle, they respond that they only 25%, 26% they said that there is an opportunity, but most of them they are not satisfied enough yet. And the reasons for low employment opportunity for women, there are different reasons they list, and the most common one is the cultural influence. Yeah, we have heard since yesterday that the transport sector is men-dominated, and they feel that it belongs to the men. But there are also other that the sector is not convenient to women in terms of different safety and other aspects. And the recruitment process is also men-oriented, especially in those informal transport systems and so on. Well, finally, when it comes to summarize or relate to the existing laws and policies, the concept of women's safety and security is not well developed in such types of cities. But in my opinion, that when you consider of inclusive transports, active mobility, sustainable mobility, green economy, even though it's very important for those metropolitans or large populated areas, but it is much cheaper and it can easily go in when you consider those secondary cities. So considering such awareness in the secondary cities or small cities or cities with less than 1 million population will be very important. And in terms of legal regulatory framework, it is there, but poor enforcement has hindered also this. The implementation of the legal framework on participation is not as good as its existence. It exists there, but not to the base. And lack of participatory and planning and decision making represents our conclusion. And thank you, the HVT. Thank you very much. For further information, you can Asante and that you can go through these links. Thank you.